The storm did not arrive gently. It tore into the night like a wounded animal, howling through the narrow streets and bending the trees until they screamed. Rain lashed sideways, drowning the world in sheets of gray, and somewhere beneath the thunder, a man stood at his front door with a child asleep on his shoulder, unaware that this single decision to open his home would quietly rewrite his entire life. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the unseen power of small, good choices, please take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, subscribe to the channel for more stories like this, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your support keeps these stories alive. Ethan Walker had not planned for heroism that night. He was tired in the way only single parents truly understand, a deep bone weariness that came from working long hours, cooking simple meals, helping with homework, and pretending strength even when loneliness pressed in after bedtime. His small rented house sat on the edge of town, modest and weather-beaten, with peeling paint and a porch that creaked under heavy rain. Since the day his wife passed away 3 years earlier, the house had been both a shelter and a reminder, filled with love, grief, and memories that refused to fade. His world revolved around his 7-year-old daughter Lily, whose quiet bravery often surpassed his own, and every decision Ethan made was guided by one question alone: would this keep her safe and loved? That night, as he tucked Lily into bed while thunder cracked overhead, a sudden power outage plunged the house into darkness. The wind rattled the windows violently, and water began to creep under the front door. As Ethan lit a candle and tried to calm his racing thoughts, a sharp knock echoed through the storm, barely audible but urgent enough to freeze him in place. No one ever came this far out during weather like this, and instinct warned him to stay put. But something heavier than fear settled in his chest, a quiet pull toward compassion that he could never ignore. When he opened the door, the rain rushed in, soaking the floor, and there stood a woman drenched to the bone, her coat clutched tightly around her, her face pale with exhaustion and shock. Her car had broken down miles away, her phone dead, and the storm had swallowed every sense of direction she had. She looked nothing like someone powerful or important. She looked small, shaken, and human. Ethan did not ask questions or hesitate. He simply stepped aside and let her in, offering a towel, a chair, and the warmth of a home that had known loss but still believed in mercy. Her name was Claire Bennett, though she did not share much more than that. She sat quietly, hands trembling as the storm raged outside, her eyes drifting to the family photos on the wall and the small shoes by the door. Ethan brewed tea on a gas stove and wrapped Lily's old blanket around Claire's shoulders, apologizing for the simplicity of everything he owned. The house smelled of candle wax and rain-soaked wood, and for a while, time seemed to slow, holding all three souls inside that fragile bubble of safety. Ethan did not know that Claire was the CEO of one of the fastest-growing technology firms in the country, a woman who commanded boardrooms and negotiated million-dollar deals with calm authority. Out there in the world, she was admired, feared, and endlessly scrutinized. But inside the dimly lit house, stripped of status and control, she felt something she had not felt in years. She felt seen without expectation, cared for without condition, and safe without needing to earn it. The storm lasted through the night, and circumstances forced Claire to stay. Ethan prepared a simple dinner from what little he had, embarrassed by the modest meal but sincere in his effort. Lily, curious and gentle, offered Claire one of her favorite storybooks, curling up beside her as if this stranger had always belonged there. Claire's heart cracked open in a way she could not explain. She had built a life of success so tall that she could no longer see over its walls, and yet here, in a struggling single father's home, she felt more grounded than she had in years. Morning arrived slowly, gray and quiet, leaving behind puddles and broken branches. The storm had passed, but something else lingered. Claire's car was still unusable, and help would take hours to arrive. She spent the day with Ethan and Lily, witnessing the quiet heroism of a man who stretched every dollar, every ounce of energy, to give his child a life filled with warmth. She saw how he read to Lily with different voices, how he packed her lunch with handwritten notes, how he smiled even when worry flickered behind his eyes. Ethan, in turn, noticed Claire's kindness, her patience with Lily, and the way she listened, truly listened, when he spoke about his late wife and the fear of not being enough. Over the following weeks, Claire found reasons to return. What began as gratitude slowly became something deeper. She helped Lily with school projects, cooked meals with Ethan, and sat on the porch during quiet evenings, watching the sky change colors. Ethan remained unaware of her true identity, believing her to be a consultant passing through town. Claire, for the first time, cherished the freedom of not being defined by her title. She fell in love not with a rescuer or a provider, but with a man who chose kindness even when life had given him every reason to close his heart. Challenges came, as they always do. Ethan struggled with pride and fear when unexpected medical bills surfaced and work hours were cut. Claire wrestled with the truth she was hiding and the life waiting for her beyond this small town. When the truth eventually surfaced through a chance encounter and a familiar name on a news screen, Ethan felt betrayed and small, convinced that someone like her could never truly choose someone like him. The distance between them grew heavy with unspoken pain. But love, when real, does not disappear quietly. Claire returned, stripped again of titles and explanations, standing before Ethan with honesty and vulnerability. She did not offer solutions or money, only the truth of her heart and the certainty that the storm had brought her exactly where she was meant to be. Ethan faced his fear, realizing that his worth had never been measured by wealth or status, but by the love he gave freely, even on the darkest nights. Just before the ending, please pause and write in the comments what kindness means to you, because your words may be exactly what someone else needs to read today. Years later, their story would still begin with a storm, but it would never end there. Together, they built a life rooted in trust, humility, and shared strength, teaching Lily that love often arrives disguised as hardship and that the bravest thing a person can do is open their door when the world is falling apart. The house was no longer just a shelter from the rain, it became a symbol of second chances, where two broken paths had quietly become one. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that compassion still matters and that love can grow in the most unexpected places, please like, comment, and share this video. Your engagement helps these stories reach others who may be standing in their own storm, waiting for a door to open.